guys and welcome back to Edge Research, and in today's video we are going to talk about memos written by Howard Marks. In the recent videos we talked about a book written by Howard Marks known as Mastering the Stock Market Cycles. In this book, in this memo also we are going to talk about investment strategies or investment ideologies of Howard Marks. But before moving further, before decoding investment strategies or insights written by Howard Marks, let us decode who the person really is. His birth is at 23rd April 1946 in New York City at United States. He was the co-founder and currently the chairman of Oak Street Capital. His net worth is 2.2 billion US dollars. If we talk about asset under management of him, in 1995 it was stamped as 5 billion US dollars, and currently dated on 2025 it is 180 billion US dollars. So basically what happened is Oak Street Capital assets under management has seen 36x faster growth in assets under management under the influence of Howard Marks. So with this we could understand how important it is to know the person who has asset under management of this great amount. So basically he talks about 5th September 2008, after the New York Stock Exchange got closed off, Lehman Brothers filed bankruptcies. It followed with Merrill Lynch, it followed with Washington Mutual, it followed with AIG. And basically it was said that this was the melting down of financial sector in the United States. But he does not tell more about the crisis, but he focused more on how to take decisions on the crisis. So basically he made some investment decisions in 2008. He also talked about the current crisis, the bigger crisis that happened in 2020 about the COVID. He also makes investments in that. So basically he has created this memo known as Nobody Knows in order to show what developments had been happened with the course of time in those particular events. So now guys, we are going to talk about future. So basically what I did is I divided the memos into different small set of chunks or a small set of chapters that will help you as well as me to create and you to understand. Just created it for ease. So basically what Howard Marks tells about future is, including him, no one can predict future. So people think the best way to deal with future is to derive conclusions. कि अगर सपोज करते हैं कि कोई XYZ कंडीशंस हुई तो हमने कंक्लूजन निकाल लिया कि हाँ ये शायद ऐसे हो सकता है या फिर इसका आगे कुछ नहीं हो सकता. Yes, no, or just cancel the case. But he says there is something missing here. It is really good of deriving conclusions. But there is one more step. The next step is first to formulate the conclusion, and the next step is to check or to analyze the probabilities or the likelihood of your conclusions to be right. Basically what Howard says is, including him, nobody knows about future. But all the situations come in way. No one knew what could happen next or what would be. Situations are going to recover or not. But in these situations, Howard thought something optimistic. He thought the situations may recover, and hence he decided to have capital allocations into the financial assets that are getting at really cheaper valuations that has real intrinsic value. So basically what Howard says is his conclusions were really limited. What were the conclusions he could come to? So if we read, we could understand that he says we cannot confidently predict the end of the world, or we cannot confidently predict that after these financial meltdowns the sector is not going to revive again or the things are going to get off. The second one is we had no idea what to do if we knew world would end. During the time in the 2008, mostly it was also a rumor that in 2012 the world is going to get over. So basically he is getting the crux out of that. Also, he said if we panic getting feel that world will end and we do action, and it will, the most of the time world doesn't end. But if the world doesn't end, after that we take actions, it will be more disastrous. Most of the people, if they knew the world is going to end, they are going to close off the positions. And what if the world doesn't end? What if the things recover? Most of the times the world doesn't end. He saw no logical choice other than putting money at work, including $10 billion sitting uninvested in the opportunity fund. He thought it optimistic. What more could happen? He thought things are going to recover. He saw about analogous experiences that happened in the past where a lot of people predicted that the world's gonna end, but didn't happen. So what he did is, he tried to allocate the amount of funds that he had and also an extra opportunity fund 7B that he had to invest. The reason behind creation of this opportunity fund was to buy stocks in disguise at cheaper valuations, having high intrinsic values, or to buy securities under distress. So basically, how couldn't we follow up and gain opportunity? What he said is, how couldn't we follow up or gain opportunity and not buy assets that we couldn't have buying, which are giving extraordinary results? If we couldn't buy it in the normal market, we should buy in distress. He never claimed that he knew future, but he feels that the statement that I analyzed future is crap, it's bullshit. In 2020, when he wrote his second memo known as Nobody Knows, in the starting early phase of 2020 COVID pandemic, he cited an Harvard epidemiologist. What he said is, we can make decisions based on 2 to 3 factors. The first one is the facts. The second one is the informed experiences from analogous experiences, and the third one is speculation. But when he thought of applying those 3 factors, we didn't have facts, we didn't have analogous experiences, and what left with him was just the speculation. Since we had no facts and no analogous experiences, we had to speculate, and that was the only thing that was left. At end, he said, he wants to say right here is, in 2008 and other crisis that he has invested in, he said, I didn't reach at any conclusions confidently or with an act without trepidation. The word trepidation is मतलब डर लगना, घबराहट होना, or to be uncertain about the situation. What he says is, there is absolutely no place for certainty in the world of economics or investing, and that's particularly true, and it is really true at turning up heads. So basically he says, I'm never sure, my analysis can be wrong, but I can reason out what's most logical. I feel I have to move in that direction. What he says is, what he feels is the most logical, what he feels he could derive from the, or creates from, or derives from the data, he takes into that direction.